compliance. Clearly, something's going on right now in our industry. People are getting sued left and right because they're not following the compliance of the TCPA. Patty, are you on Zoom? Nope. Who wants to tell me a little?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here, but I'm doing two things at one time.
Okay, awesome, Tammy. Thank you, thank you. Who would like to tell me about it and speak loud? Kyle, what's the TCPA? Speak loud.
Do I need to go over there?
Now you can do this.
So it's basically the do not call list. So it lists everything that you need to know, basically just making sure if you get contact info from stuff like title companies, you got to make sure that stuff is scrubbed for people that are on the do not call list.
Right. Right. So do you guys get that? You need to make sure you are scrubbing the list, your telephone list. You have to, because people are getting called and they shouldn't be getting called if they're on that list. So let's make sure we're being compliant and taking care of this. Do you have any thoughts on that, Bart? Because I'm sure you guys talk about it a lot more than
we do talk about it a lot. Hi, sorry, I have two things going on now, so I don't know how.
I can see you.
So yes, we do talk about it a lot in productivity coaching because we don't want anyone to get in trouble. And we do have a loom that Beth created for us. So I do have to find it, but I will get that out and maybe it would be helpful for everyone.
Yeah, we should probably post that in the Facebook and maybe even email it out, like consistently have it on something, because we hire so many new different people and they should be aware. Oh, Beth is right here and Beth can explain a little bit more. Yeah, here, you can come here. Come here, Beth. This is Beth.
Hi, guys. Yeah, it's really, really simple, actually. You just go to the National Do Not Call Registry and you click salesperson and you follow the prompts. You're going to do it with your own social security number. You have to put your social in or an EIN. So register yourself as a salesperson. You don't have to get anything special from Keller Williams. And then it takes about 24 hours to 48 hours to get approved. And you can get 5 zip codes for free, or area codes, whatever. And that should get you started. If you want to dial out farther than that, then it's, you pay a fee for additional area.
Perfect. Thank you.
Really simple.
Thank you so much for explaining.
The other thing is people can subscribe. There is you pay for lists that are already scrubbed. So we'll see if we can get some of that information out too as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Can you repeat the national call? Can you repeat the email one more time, please?
Beth, can you put the email in the chat?
You mean the website?
Yeah, in the webs. Okay.
Tell Beth, thank you.
Thank you, Beth. All right. Oh yeah, there you go. The Telephone Consumer Protective Act. Thank you, Jeff.
So Michelle, I know we didn't speak, so we're a little disjointed here, but it looks like you're in Fresno, maybe?
No, I'm actually in Stockton.
Oh, okay. So Bill's there with you?
Yes, he is. Yeah. He just said no. Bill's in Manteca. Yeah, that's funny. No. Awesome. I didn't know if you had anything else to chat about, or if you want to just have Bill take it away, or tomorrow, you guys, we should probably talk about tomorrow.
Okay,
Tomorrow,
do that and then I'll talk about Bill.
Okay, and tomorrow Mike Brody, it will be in the Manteca office, and this meeting is open to everyone, and this is at 10 o'clock over in Manteca. Mike Brody is one of the top passive income earners, and he's one of our regional owners. He just happened to text me yesterday, and he's like, Michelle, I'm going to be in town, for our regional meeting. I would love to speak into one of your offices. And I'm like, you can speak to all my offices because we're going to do this in person and on Zoom. obviously, if you are around, it's great to, I'm gonna mute somebody here. It's great to be in person. That way you're a part of the meeting after the meeting, because those are the juicy ones. So yes. All right. So please, 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 I hope I can count on all of you guys to be there. Take it away, Barb.
So we asked Bill Johnson if he would speak to the group because he presented in front of the productivity coaching team, or I'm sorry, group about a month ago. And it was just such great information. I thought it was well worth something we should share with everyone. So Bill has been, I just saw some phenomenal results for you, Bill.
Yes.
I'm sure you're going to talk about, I think more than what, 200, 100 transactions in
200
commercial.
million. 200 million, right, Bill? Yes, 200 million in
So
volume.
we're very, very lucky and fortunate that Bill has decided to be with Keller Williams for the last year or two. And so Bill, take it away and let's show us how we can help grow commercial with your assistance.
All right.
He's on camera. I see.
Oh, yeah. Am I supposed to move or stand here or sit? What do I do?
Can you guys hear? Yeah.
So funny.
Do you want the PowerPoint?
Oh, yeah. Is
Okay.
that clicker? Did I have a clicker?
No. So it's got to just yeah. So fancy with the PowerPoint.
Right? I know.
Fancy,
It's
fancy.
amazing, right? I know.
Okay.
I can't take all the credit. There was another KW commercial person out of the East Coast that, yeah, a lot of, it's amazing that how little the systems that KW commercial has set up right now.
Yeah.
So they don't really offer a lot of assistance to commercial agents on how to, they a lot on grow your business, but not on how to appeal to the agents in the office
This is
or
another
on
dashboard.
Zoom land or something like that. So this is something that I took and tweaked, and hopefully it provides some value. Not quite sure where to look on this, but I'm supposed to look over here, over here, but that's all right.
Yeah.
All right, everybody can hear me too on the Zoom line?
Can they hear him on Zoom land?
Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
hear you.
that.
Thumbs up in there.
Yes, apparently. Yes.
Can
Thank
we-
you, Audrey.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. All right, so I spoke about a month ago to, I guess, a group of new agents, and yeah, the PC program, and really just about how they can implement some commercial into their business, what they should do if they have a referral, what KW commercial is, and all of that stuff. So I'll just kind of jump right into it, and it's really about how I can help you add to your business. And so kind of today I'm going to cover like who I am, a little bit of background. I'm not going to talk very much about myself, and then KW commercial, what it entails, what they do, how long they've been around, how to increase your GCI through commercial referrals, and then some examples of what that may look like, how to refer a commercial lead, when to work a commercial lead, when to partner with an agent, and things like that. So
I think
we'll
it's
take a look.
important to talk about where you came from, though, so people know who you are and why you chose KW.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so brief background on me. 2015, I taught public school as a special education teacher in Stockton Unified. I taught for about 9 years, and towards the end of that, I decided we got into a franchise. We opened the Rita's Italian Ice over here in Stockton, and then also the one in Manteca. It's now defunct because we sold it and they lost it, but that's another story. Through that, one of the partners in that group was the owner of a commercial real estate firm here locally. And if you understand commercial real estate, or if you talked to Michele before, you realize how much the pipeline of the business depends on, the brokerage business depends on bringing new life into the business, new people to partner with. And so I was one of those people for him that he brought into the business. And I just kind of ran with it. I had a whole entire school year to teach. And so I couldn't get out of the contract. and I had some, decent money as far as some loan forgiveness things that I needed to finish out that year. So I decided to just go for it. I had a 1-year-old at home and I had my wife's support. And so I did. I taught full time, be at school from 8 to 4:30. And then I would jump over to, it was Northgate Commercial. I was there for the next 2 hours each day, 2.5 hours. Then I go home, study for my license test, and do whatever I could to get this thing up and running in this new business venture that I literally knew nothing about, like at all. So it was a big jump, but fast forward, it's worked out pretty well. So licensed 2015. I came on full time in July of 2016, but I already had a deal closed. So I picked up my first listing through a cold call in March of 2016. It ended up closing like in May of 2016. So I already had a deal closed before I started, but I didn't really make a lot of money on it, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I've only been a commercial agent, never went into residential, don't know anything about residential. Don't care to know anything about residential. I'm going to pass it off to you guys who are the experts if I do have anything that requires any residential assistance. And then so I got in on a full service brokerage. They do everything, property management, investment advisory, commercial investment sales, leasing. And I focused primarily on investment sales because I partnered up with the broker specifically to really kind of grow that business and take it over. And then I had an opportunity I hear a lot of chatter, especially as the industry kind of shifts or people kind of figure out where their business is going to go to. I hear a lot of chatter about the compensation structures and the plans and which company's better than which and all of this stuff. And honestly, I couldn't imagine being anywhere else, because the other firm that I was at, we had a tiered structure where we started at 60-40. So no matter how much business, all the way up to 250,000, it was 60-40. And then it tiered after 250 to 70-30. And then after 500,000, it went to 80-20, and it never capped. And so, and they covered some of the expenses like CoStar, LoopNet, things like that, but then I couldn't write it off. So that's like also taking away from the business. So the year before I came over here, I paid 140 grand to Northgate Commercial for literally no value at all. And so coming over here was such a blessing to be able to implement that into the business. I spent less time working, like I focused a little more on the core business, but I spent less time just doing like the kind of the busy tasks and tried to evolve my business. I did just over half the volume of last year, but I made much more money. So it's just about, and we're all about putting money back in our pockets, right? So this allows you that opportunity here with this company. So definitely, if you're on the fence about what company to be with, I think this is where it's at. Areas. So I'm not going to go too much into commercial. We can probably have another conversation or Zoom about the different aspects of real estate, because there's so many different sides. But I've represented tenants, landlords, buyers, sellers of all different types of commercial real estate. The only one I haven't gone into is hospitality, so hotels, motels, and I haven't done any multifamily. So I know some of the people, there's probably opportunities within Keller Williams and KW Commercial to start getting into multifamily. It's an area I'm going to look into, but that's not an area that I've handled in the past. So office, retail, industrial, land, special use projects, gas stations, just closed on the gas station on Friday, and all other investment types, triple net leased assets, owner users, a small business that need to move, all of that stuff. We've gone all over the place. I've done deals in like 6 different states. She talked about it earlier, but it just went over 200 million in transactional volume. And that was all because of the team and the systems and the vendor connections and all the things that have been fostered over the last 6 years. And it provides so much value for you guys to have that type of experience to lean on. So if you do have any sort of commercial need, definitely feel free to, ask questions and such. Live in Stockton. Office in Stockton, one of the big reasons why I came over here before I really knew a whole lot about Keller Williams and the culture and everything was the fact that I live like 3 minutes away.
You're like,
And
yeah, your
it's
bike
it's fantastic. I could ride my bike, I can walk. I mean, I don't walk, but I could walk. Most of the time I drive over here and park right there, but still, it makes it really easy. And then I don't stick in Stockton a lot. I've done some business in Stockton, but I've gone all over the surrounding area. So if it's an investment sale, all over the state, and even in some other states that cooperate as far as buyer goes. And if I can't cover, which I'll talk about a little bit later, KW Commercial has a huge network of agents that you can refer to, and that's not something that I would interfere with. Like, it's something that you'd go direct to them, or I'd put you in touch with them, and they would help you to help facilitate your transactions. So it's just like the residential world. You guys are, obviously residential's huge for Keller Williams, #1 residential. KW Commercial is trying to be there. They're just many, many years behind, but they still got a pretty solid network. All right, so metrics on KW Commercial. I don't know if you guys even really knew anything about KW Commercial. I know there's a few agents that have done some commercial transactions. I know Rachel does commercial transactions. I know she just closed a nice deal in Stockton over here on El Dorado. So that was really awesome. So she's furthering the brand as well. So it was founded in 2008. It's right around 2,200 agents, although they just had a summit and they had a massive turnout. So I'm sure it's going to continue to grow. The growth is starting to come from other agencies. So it's not just homegrown talent anymore. There's starting to be people that come over from other commercial brokerages. I've seen teams, like myself, I've seen teams from Lean Associates, from CBRE, from Cushman, like people, Marcus and Millichap, people are starting to come over, notice that they can provide more value for their clients. They can make more money on their deals without 9 million splits, and a number of other things. So it's really growing. And then as far as commercial, we don't typically use the MLS. You'll see a few agents here, mainly the brokerages that kind of do both residential commercial that are a little bit smaller, that'll put their stuff on the MLS. But most of the time you're using things that are specific to commercial, whether it's CoStar, LoopNet, Crexy, or a number of the other ones that tie into those. I realize this is going to transition so slow. So some of the tools. So KW Commercial, they totally revamped, and the good thing is they revamped right when I came on. So when I came on in October of last year, or November, whenever that was, they did a complete management switch. They've done a CRM switch. They've done a training switch. I mean, you name it, they've brought some real value to anybody wanting to make a switch over here. So if you're looking at the PowerPoint, the leadership structure, you see they have the team leader, they've got the director. So they're trying to make it more like a commercial brokerage format and have some leadership built in, great culture, economic models, really hype the referral network and help the agents to grow exponentially in their businesses. The biggest thing for me is, although I haven't really gone through it because a lot of it I kind of lived through the school of hard knocks and then taking my own trainings and such. Alicia Shepard put together the Nucleus program. So if anybody's looking to get into KW Commercial, some of the steps are, of course, you join KW Commercial and you pay for that membership. But with the membership comes access to RealNex, product specialty groups and masterminds to help you if you're struggling to kind of figure out what niche you want to go into. But the most important is Nucleus, and that is I believe like an 8-week program or something. It's very intense. It's all you kind of guide yourself, but it has a workbook and it's got training videos that are recorded, and it goes over every product type that you could possibly imagine and shows you how to really get your business going. Because that's the hardest part for commercial brokerage. You can't reach out to your sphere like you can in residential and commercial, because most people don't have a commercial sphere that they know about. They don't know who owns that commercial building. Typically, you're growing that by being on the phone 8 hours a day, 12 days or 12 hours. Sorry, speaking too fast. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and if not more, and then just trying to continue to grow from there, which is how I started. I mean, the guy ran it like a military. I was in there at 6 in the morning and I left like at 6 at night, 6:30 at night. For some reason, he always wanted to have a team meeting to talk about how the day went right at 6:30 when I was ready to go. It was exhausting, but it did help me grow a lot faster than I would have expected. But that's kind of the level of commitment that you would likely have to get going in commercial. Typical time frame is about a year to 2 years to not necessarily to get your first deal, but enough to support yourself. Not a family, but yourself.
In the industry, it costs a lot of money. I think it's important to talk about that. So
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's
a different.
if I'm just quantifying the basics without really going extravagant, you probably have about at least 1,000 just in your basic costs, just your CoStar membership and your LoopNet and your Crexi Pro adds up to about 1,000. You've got your CRM and everything, which KW Commercial covers in the membership, so that's just another 200. Then you've got all your ancillary stuff, the way you connect to people outside of what they provide, other tools and things. So you probably realistically 2,000, 2,500. But when you're starting out, it's not really as much, right? Because you typically will try to find a way to ramp up into your first few deals to be able to buy some of these things to help you in your business.
Have a larger cap.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure what the residential cap is. You guys would know that a little better. The cap at commercial is 30,000. So up to 30,000, you're obviously contributing to the house and growing, helping to provide funds to grow the brokerages, and then beyond that, it's in your pocket and back into your business. Associate application. So they just revamped this. There's no longer an ability to go straight to a commercial director just because you have a certain level of experience or a certain level of volume or transactional history. Now you submit your application, everybody starts as an associate or a senior associate. And so they're getting more towards that dedicated commercial model that you're seeing in some of the other commercial specific firms. It also helps to make sure that you're not putting unqualified leaders in the organization. And so you might want to look into that. Identifying commercial leads. All right, so this is a little bit more pertaining to you guys and how we can help you to increase your pipeline, put some additional dollars in your pocket. If you're brand new to the business and you haven't really done a lot of, you don't have a huge network, huge sphere, you're not doing a lot of residential business yet, but you might still know some people. This is how you talk to them and potentially leverage who you know to pass off some commercial opportunities. So you listen for opportunities, listing, showing appointments. The good thing is everybody that owns a commercial building also lives in a house. And if they have one house and they own commercial buildings, they probably own several houses. So if you're talking to commercial owners, you're not just talking to somebody who you might list their home, sell their home, but they also will likely have other investment homes because people typically dabble into both, and a lot of times people will start with residential investments before they move to commercial. So there could be opportunities to grow in all sorts of ways. Prospect the clients currently in your database could be as simple as just checking in. You're going to check in with them anyway. Just add a line about how you can also, assist with commercial, or you have a team member that assists with commercial you can connect them with. Networking groups. A lot of you belong to more networking groups than I probably would ever want to be part of. So leverage those. You know people. Let them know other things that you can provide, because you won't see a lot of commercial agents in networking groups. You just won't. You go around the area. You probably see Lori with partners, who is in a lot of the chambers and things like that people know. But other than that, there's not a lot of commercial agents. They get dedicated in the business. They get bogged down. A lot of this, the national houses will feed them leads, so they don't have to prospect as much. So they're not as focused on the core like you guys are. Talk with friends and acquaintances, and then all the CRE in the Central Valley, a lot of it's occupied by tenants. So people need to expand, people want to grow, people that have dreams of owning their own space. And yeah, I can skip that. All right, quick questions. Generate commercial leads. Do you own a commercial property, or do you own or manage a business? Do you have any real estate decisions that you have to make? And, this may lead into them looking at you differently and then thinking that, okay, this guy is not just talking about my home here. It's talking about growing my investment portfolio, growing my wealth, doing some of those things that Gary's talked about. And you can pass that along to your clients and let them know that you can assist them in all sorts of different ways in addition to commercial. And then if they do express any interest, the easiest way to do it is, can I have one of our KW commercial agents give you a call? Depending on what area you're in, it doesn't even just have to be me. I mean, depending on what area you're in, there's a lot of KW commercial agents that can help you in those specific areas. But you want to have one of them give a call and talk about commercial rather than you just try to speculate and throw out things that you're not super confident about talking about. All right, hints in your conversations. I'll have the list here. You can kind of read through it. I'm sure you see it better than I do. But you're looking for lease space, looking to buy a property for their business, current lease reviewed. A lot of people need their lease renewals are coming up. They need to have a lease reviewed. And a lot of times you can help a client to either save some money on their lease, get better terms on their renewals, or, it's time to make an acquisition. Do they want to invest in commercial real estate? What's their portfolio look like? Stock market's taking a hit. People aren't making as much money there. Maybe they want to take some of that and put it into some investment properties, residential or commercial. And then CRE in other states. A lot of things you saw, a lot of the growth in residential real estate over the last couple of years was because people had invested in portfolios of homes in 2008, 2009, and then they started selling those because they were at max value. So you had, if you were coming out of the Bay Area, you had millions of dollars that was being funneled across the country. A lot of it gobbling up commercial. So the commercial inventory right now is still low. It's at record lows because they just haven't been able to generate that the amount of sellers for the amount of buyers and capital that's in the market, even with the change. And then again, residential investors wanting to diversify their portfolio with a commercial real estate property.
Bill, you need to refresh your screen.
Is it not working?
The slides aren't moving.
How do I do
It
that?
says have him refresh his share. So reshare your screen.
Do I pause it and then do it, or?
I don't know. So maybe stop
So
and then
he just needs to hit the share button again and reshare.
here and then share.
And then he needs to hit the advanced buttons. There you go.
Well, it's not. We can see it.
Well, he just
no,
needs to
it's-
select the right one.
I don't know where I'm at.
There you go.
There.
Okay.
Well,
Thank
you guys
you.
let me know.
Okay.
Bill, since
Yeah.
you can do a bunch of different states, do you have to be licensed in each one of those states? or-
So if you're going to be selling a property, yes, absolutely. Well, you can partner up with an agent in another state, depending on the state's rules and requirements. If you're representing a buyer, typically you can represent in that state. There's a lot of reciprocal states, but you'd have to research that beforehand.
Okay.
Because, like Idaho, you don't want to do that. It's bad for everybody. Everybody will get a fine. And then there's a few others where you need some research.
Cool.
But yeah, and it depends on the type of asset. Like I'm not going to do that for like an owner user asset in some town I don't understand.
Mhm.
But if it's a Starbucks or
Yeah, a
you know,
franchise.
a Burger King or something like that, those fundamentals, you look at the market, you look at the demographics, it's going to be successful. They're pretty straightforward. All right. Let me know if this is coming through. Did it come through on your end?
Do it
Yes.
again. It's the next page. I can't tell.
This would be the page that I'm on, but I don't know how to work this thing. Raji, can you help me, please? Please.
He can sell.
Yeah, PowerPoints, not so much, but I put one together for you guys. So, that one.
Okay, so I can see that.
I apologize for technical difficulties.
Yeah. But I can see it, but
Yeah.
go to the next one just so I can see if it moves. No,
No?
No,
Oh, weird.
what?
that is weird, huh?
That's a favorite slide.
So funny.
But if it moved on.
Okay, no, I can see it now. Well, I can see it.
So now you can see the
because
arrow.
It's dual light.
All right. Thanks for bearing with us as we figure this out.
It's like a split screen.
Split
on
screen.
there.
That's
But
what
you
it-
know what? This is okay because I can see the slides now. Before I wasn't able to see the slides.
So if I just keep it like that, will it, or no?
Yeah, because I'm able to see. Wow, I think you need to go back. So it's.
So
Okay,
it's
I'm
not
able to
updating on
see what
there?
you're doing. So it's working.
Okay. Well, let me know if we got to do something again, but
Yeah.
we'll figure that out.
Stand by, Raji.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So you can see what I'm doing on there?
Yeah.
All right. So I think I'm on the right one. Let me see.
No, okay, now.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
I think it's
I'm
because of the transition
Yeah.
that's in here. So it'll take a little second to pop up. All right. So how do I hide this? No. This way.
See right
This one,
there?
right?
Those.
Boom. All right. We're in business. Sorry.
You wanna move that?
No, we're good.
Okay.
We're good. Yeah, thank you. All right, so creating or adding to your GCI through commercial referrals. So kind of why you guys are here, not just to listen to me talk and find out about commercial, but how can I help your business? And some of you guys have already reached out to me, and I'm working my way through with some of your clients. Some of them were on our way to getting deals done, and that's fantastic. And it starts with setting a goal. Okay, so you guys have goals most likely for profit share. If you haven't, Michelle will talk to you after this. So you have goals for profit share, you have goals for your residential business. So think about it as a separate referral revenue stream. Okay, so it can go into your 411. You're not going to focus on the money, you're going to focus on the number of referrals that are sent over, the number of leads that are referred. And I'll talk to you about how that's done. And it's not painful, so it's not complicated. The commercial referral opportunities will present themselves during regular conversation. A lot of times it's like a glass breaking, right? You're talking to a client, you're not really thinking about it. It's not sinking in. You're having a great conversation. They're mentioning other commercial things that they have, all that good stuff. But until you actually realize that there's a way that it can go into your business, you don't focus on it. But now you'll start hearing some of those buzzwords and things. And then those 3 questions that I talked about. Yeah, even if the residential business for some reason doesn't move forward at that specific time, you might uncover a commercial lead that leads to a referral payout for yourself, which is always nice. So what people really care about, right, is how do I get paid? And let me see if I can figure out a way to move this so everybody in here can see it.
Just
You can pull it down.
Black. Yeah, click somewhere, anywhere where it's black and not.
Pull it down.
Got it. All right. Perfect. All right. So when to refer a commercial lead? Answers most of the time. And why is that? It's because your return on investment, your time is more valuable in your core business. So you're going to be, if you're focused on that, you're going to be making more money for yourself. And that ROI on that referral, and I'll kind of go over that, is a lot better if you're just passing off that lead, having me take the reins, run through it. I'll keep you updated, and it could lead to potential income for yourself. So moderate commercial sale, right around 750,000 if it's local. I just did one that closed on Friday. That's 4.65 million. So this is a kind of a moderate commercial deal. Typical commission if you're representing one side, especially on that size range, is typically 6%, split 50-50. And so at 3%, that side to the agent would be 22,500. And then I offer a 25% referral fee on that. So you put in your pocket 56.25. And granted, obviously you have to factor in where you're at on the house splits and things like that. So usually profit share, all that stuff that needs to be factored. But the GCI it's going to come to you is 56.25. So you can kind of take a general listing, find out the commission and work backwards and figure out what may be the potential on that particular lead. For example, there was a agent out of Group E Remax Gold earlier this year that referred me a commercial lead because she didn't really have any solid commercial agents in that company. And it was a pretty small deal. It was like an owner user auto repair. And so in any case, she gave me a number. She forgot the person's name, but she had a number and said that he had talked to her, or she'd run across him, and he was interested in selling his business or his building. And so she gave that to me, called him, got it listed a day later. We had it in contract 3 days later, and it closed 30 days later. So we sold for $350. She made like $2,800 or something like that.
Nice.
And she didn't
Do anything.
She didn't do anything. Yeah.
Good luck.
Other than
Which
follow,
number?
other than follow up with me occasionally, say, is it close yet? It's close yet. So, mind you, that's a lot faster than typical. A lot of these deals are very, very long. And a lot of times if they're buying requirements, it's going to be even longer, or tenant requirements, just because you've got to go through the process of finding a space. But that's the potential on some of these type of transactions.
I think the key was a group agent referred his business and gave some company dollars. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure.
There we go.
That kind of tells you that they know all the awesome stuff that Keller Williams has and the, connections and everything. Right?
Yeah, and we have Bill.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah. Yeah,
Bill, you can't leave it.
they tried to get me over there too, but that's a different story. All right, so again, you make a 5-minute call, and there you go. $5,600 could potentially be in your pocket from that 5-minute call. You mind if I leave it like this? Is that fine? Just so I can go through.
See it better.
Yeah, it's just a little bit better for me. All right, leasing. So a moderate commercial lease, and this is kind of important, and one of the things that I wanted to highlight for how a leasing commission is structured or paid, because leasing gets pretty complicated, and it's not as cut and dry as a commercial sale. So if you're doing a lease, you typically, if a deal does get done, which could take several months to get negotiated and put into place, typically the commission half is paid at execution, or I should rephrase, half is invoiced at execution and half is invoiced whenever the lease commences, or rent commences. So it could be 3 months, could be 6 months, could be a year, just depends. But how that's broken down is, let's say we had a 4,000 square foot commercial building and their rent was $15 a square foot per year. That's going to come out to about $60,000 per year gross. And let's say it's just flat for 5 years. So they're going to pay $60,000 per year, no escalations or anything like that. So you've got $300,000 of gross commissional value there. Typical commission on one side, 3%. And so that'd be 300,000. Sorry, I'm losing my mind here. 300,000 times 3%. Yeah, so it'd be 9,000 would be the commission. 25% referral fee on that is $2,250. So same thing. And office, retail, industrial, land, they're all leased differently. So your rents can range from $260 per square foot per year to $36 per square foot per year. And it's just an example of the calculations. If you're in the Bay Area, your 2,000 to 3,000 square foot leases, might yield you, 15 grand on a referral. Like if you're in the Stockton area, it's definitely not going to yield that much. But if you refer, I got another lead from a Group E Remax Gold agent, and it's a potential lease opportunity. She wasn't sure anything about it. She didn't really talk to him in detail about it. She just put me in touch with him, and he's looking for like 50,000 square feet of industrial space. So for her, it's going to be good if it ends up coming through.
Yeah.
And it's
Have to just be a sale.
doesn't have to just be a sale.
If they want
Yeah.
to lease a building,
Building.
I didn't realize.
Rent it.
Yeah. Now, if we're talking about a lease listing opportunity, then it gets a little more specific, because I don't want to not service your clients. So if somebody's referring me a client and they've got a building in Fresno that they're looking to list with somebody to lease, I'm not going to take that. I'm gonna try to find you another referring broker that is competent in Fresno that's going to be able to do that, because I don't want to go too far out of the area, and I'm not going to be able to understand the rents and all of that stuff like somebody in that area would be able to do. Same thing on an out-of-state type of thing. If it's an out-of-state sale of a property, we're going to put you in touch with a KW commercial agent in that state that's gonna get that asset done for you. Same thing on a lease, because I'm not trying to step out of my lane and not provide the service that your clients need. When to work commercial lead? The answer is never. I mean, to be honest, unless you're Rachel or somebody with some experience in the commercial world, your return on investment is going to be better when you're referred. You're going to dramatically lower your risks. And it's just like, I don't want to sell a home because I'm not trying to open myself up to not knowing what I'm doing. I'm going to trust the experts on it. And then if you talk to Michele, the company's reputation in the marketplace and the company's risk, it goes way up if you're outside of your expertise.
Right, because we won't allow it. Chris and
That's
I and Rachel have talked about it. If you're not educated in the commercial industry, we won't allow it. And it's 2 separate caps. So that's not something that we are willing to risk.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things is the steep learning curve, whether depending on what product type it is. It took me a long time and so much like outside schooling and research to figure out just the competency to be able to talk to somebody and to be able to sell their asset, and to be able to work through any issues and solve the difficult title issues and all those things that I wouldn't want to step into as somebody who didn't have that competency. I'll skip these. That's pretty common. Show you. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not really going to read this. One of the big things that it's definitely, you see it on the emails and all that stuff, is the realtor code of ethics. You don't want to take, basically, I don't want to keep harping on it, but you don't want to take on something that is outside of your core competency. You just open yourself up to liability. And unfortunately, we live in one of the most litigious states in the union. So, yeah. All right. Partnering with commercial agent. Now, the answer I put here is never. However, sometimes it is a case by case. I have done it before. I got a deal done with a gal, with Ashley Burgess earlier this year. And that worked out really well, but we got the approval of everybody prior, and she brought a lot of experience, not just with that client, but just in general, that complemented what I was doing extremely well. So we worked real well together on the deal. Again, your return on investment is better when referred. Plus, typically, I'm going to choose not to partner on it personally, regardless of whether we can or not, because we're not bringing the same level of expertise to the deal. And I'm not gonna do more work for and then split off. I've done that before when there's incompetent people on the other side of the deal, and I end up having to do all the work for them. I don't want to do it on my side too. Yeah.
Just like they would want it.
We get it.
Yeah. All right. Referral commission. So everybody's favorite part. Typically, I offer a 25% on the referred side of the deal. Now that's cold. I mean, you could just have a potential lead. You haven't even really ran down the gamut with them. Qualified, or a solid relationship. I'm capable and competent enough that I can convert, or I can tell you right away, like, hey, this is not something that I'm willing to take. But it doesn't really matter. I told you that example there from next, she didn't even know the person's name. I mean, I filled her in on the name afterwards, but it didn't stop the listing from getting taken. So yeah, so even if you haven't done a lot of research on it, you're not quite sure. Now, I would prefer if you had some sort of understanding of what they have, but it's not a requirement. And I'll provide good feedback for you guys that you can take on for the next time you run into the same type of thing. And then what's different that I don't see too many people offering that I'd like to offer is that if I get a deal done, if you refer out your client to another commercial brokerage, which I'm sure some of you guys have prior to me coming on board, typically they'll pass you a referral, and typically it's around 20%, sometimes it's 25, but typically it'll be just one time. And then after that person's in their database, and they're never going to give you any more money out of that. But here, we're a family, and I'd like to encourage people to refer more business and to trust me with their trusted relationships. And so any additional deals that I get done, I mean, it could be a year from now, 2 years, 5 years. If it gets done with that referred client, I'm going to kick out 10% to you as well. So hopefully that can be,
As long as you hold your real estate license, right?
which is going to be forever. But yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's
I'm not going back to teaching, so
Yeah.
yeah, I'll be here. And it's on the, again, it's on the list side. You guys have done referrals, so I don't need to go into that. Yeah. All right, how to refer a commercial lead. So I put as a disclaimer, contact any of the KW commercial brokers in the Central Valley. In this case, you're looking at them. So you can refer it to myself. You can also talk to Rachel if you're in those marketplaces, and then she can call me if she needs to, or if it's something she's not going to work on. But either way, that would be me. I have my contact information here. And then if you have an out-of-state listing, you know, any sort of lease requirement or listing requirement or anything like that, kwcommercial.com will allow you to search, you know, for a competent agent. But if you need help with that, just reach out to me and I will reach out to the heads over at KW Commercial, and I'll get you somebody that will take care of your client. And go ahead and forward the referral contact in an email or call me or anything like that. And then I'll respond with, or they'll respond with an acceptance, you know, confirmation of the referral percentage. You know, some people get burnt with that outside of network referrals just because they feel like they're not going to be, they have to continuously follow up, and that they're going to be forgotten about, or somebody's going to take the commission and not pay the referral or something like that. That's something that it would go against any sort of, you know, core values and ethics that I have. So typically if something's coming through in an email, or if I told you, you definitely want to send the referral just to cover your base regardless over to Michelle. But outside of that, you never have to worry about it. Like, I'm going to plug you in for your referral fee, and honestly, you don't have to do a damn thing. Like, I'm going to get you guys covered. Communications, if you need it, you know, I'm going to update you guys. I'm not trying to spend the time forwarding emails and copying you on all the communication from title and everything else, because some of these deals, like the gas station I just got done, was 9 months long. I've got another one that's closing in February that's been over a year. And so some of these deals take a very long time, and some of the finding of the deals take a very long time. So some people refer deals and they're checking over like, hey, why aren't we having something cooking yet? And it's because the inventory is low, or there isn't a space yet available. So some of these requirements take a year, 2 years to actually come to fruition, but it's definitely not going to be something that gets dropped through the cracks. And then be patient. You know, again, like I said, CRE transactions take a long time. And on commercial leases, we're not typically paid immediately. A lot of times throughout my career, I haven't done as many leases just because of that, because I don't necessarily want to feel like a bill collector. I like just being able to get paid at the close of escrow, and that's that. But a lot of the referrals and such that people have spoken to me about are lease requirements, and I can definitely help those clients. So I'm not gonna throw that away. And let's see. Let's look at it for you. All right, so here's my pledge to you. Most of you guys have experienced that if you've called me or you've talked to me or you've asked me a question. I'm not like your regular commercial broker that you'll come across if you call any of them, which I'm sure some of you guys have called on them, and you either haven't been called back, you know, or if you do call back, they're not the most friendly of folks, and they don't
Can we be in contact?
right, and they don't really mince words, because for those gentlemen, you know, the same way as you guys don't want your time wasted in the residential world, they're the same way in the commercial world. And it's not that you're trying to intentionally waste their time. It's the fact that typically you don't know enough about either the requirement or the client or whatever to make it a good call. And they're not going to Q&A you to help you figure it out.
Yeah.
So for you guys, you know, I typically will return your call promptly if I don't answer it immediately. We're traditional business hours. And if I really know you, you know, we're friends, we talk a lot, I'm going to take your call. Doesn't really matter if I'm home or doing whatever. But for most things, you know, we're traditional business hours. So we're typically 7 to probably 6 p.m. And then if I do get calls from clients after that, they're apologizing. I'm sorry for calling you late. It was an emergency. But they're not typically reaching out after that. You're going to receive the referral payment, even if you forget to follow up with me. Like, it's just, if it's in there, it's in there. And remember, they take a long time, so have some patience. And then clients' needs as promptly as possible. I'm going to make sure that once I've talked to your client and I know if I can help them or not. And even sometimes when you're just looking for guidance, I had a Keller Williams agent that just wanted me to help her longtime client to figure out lease rates on an area. And I was able to walk her through that, and that might turn into a sale in 2 years because you're giving such a positive impression, you're helping, and I'm trying to make your guys' businesses and lives better. If I can't help, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to refer it to an appropriate CRE person that can help you in whatever market it is. And then my whole goal is to make you guys look good, and make you guys look good, make Keller Williams look good, KW Commercial look good. So I'm not going to do anything that is going to negatively impact your business. If your clients talk to me, they're going to come away from the conversation feeling positive. They'll likely come back to you. It'll increase your credibility in their eyes in all areas. So that was it. That was my PowerPoint. So
Good job.
Even though you stole it.
yeah, I mean, I repurposed it.
Oh, there you go.
I repurposed it because I'm trying to add value to you guys. So so I can't tell. Sure.
If you notice, we drive by so many.
Oh, I'm gonna bring the chat up to see what's
If
more.
there's any questions. We see a ton of empty buildings with big for lease all over town. And they're just literally year over year sitting there 100% vacant.
Mhm.
Nothing ever comes into them. Is there a reason for that you're?
So it depends on the asset and the type. A lot of times you see those signs on industrial assets,
Mhm.
and they're not vacant. They're
They just
leased
never
by
took the sign
somebody.
down?
Either that or they've no. So yeah, that you're 100% correct. So typically, especially if they're on a highway, those signs are up forever, and it won't come down until another agent takes a listing and says, "Hey, take your sign down." And even then, they'll tell them to buzz off. And you'll have to have your sign company that you send out there take their sign down also, because they typically don't even want it back because it's been up for so long. So yeah, if you see those signs, it's just free advertising. It's not like in the residential world where if your sign's in front of a house forever, that's a negative connotation, right? Why isn't this house selling? What is going on with it? In commercial, it's just free advertising. So I have signs all around town from my old firm that I'm not part of the old firm.
But you might get a call, and that call could lead into.
I mean, it could. It's the wrong number on there now, but yeah, those signs typically don't come down. So usually it has changed hands. Plus, if it's a retail center, they might have leased up many of the spaces, but there's still some spaces for lease. So if there's even one space for lease, it's good. That sign's going to be there. And even if they fully lease it, their sign's going to be there because you never know when a tenant's going to need to be repositioned, or maybe they're coming to end of term, or they've given notice, and you already have a list of tenants to backfill that space with because you kept your sign up. So you'll continue to see that. But thank you. That's a good
That
question.
doesn't make me upset then, because I'm like, why is there so many empty buildings?
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're typically full.
Okay.
Yeah, they're typically
Good to
leased.
know.
Let's see. Anybody else have any questions? I want to make sure I get to some people's questions, but I don't know if I can see that on here.
Yeah, it's not.
Hopefully I'm adding some value to people.
Definitely.
Can you reiterate on how you would contact someone about wanting to sell their commercial or buy a commercial building, like you were saying? How can we reach out to people?
So I would prefer that you're in your sphere of influence, your network, people who you're talking about in person. I wouldn't want you to reach out and cold call somebody or a business or something, because I mean, if you wanted to, you come work with me and we'll figure that out. But it's not going to be the best use of your time. So it's in your conversation with people, whether they're homeowners or investors or whatever. You just kind of you're gradually working in, you're listening to how their responses come. And then if it's somebody that seems to express interest, then you would do that. Yeah, I don't want you to like start cold calling buildings and things, because I mean, you could, and then again, if you wanted to, we could talk a little later about that. All right, any other questions?
I don't see anything on Zoom.
Nice. It's pretty good. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I haven't really put any thought into it. I kind of found out that I was doing this relatively recently, and hopefully I provided some value. But if there's any specific type of presentations that have to do with just specific areas of commercial real estate, we can also talk about doing something like that at a different time. The Zoom land kind of makes it a little tough. If we're gonna do a Zoom, I'd rather just sitting at my computer, and then it gives me a little bit more freedom where I'm not trying to multitask and figure stuff out. But if not, we can do in-person stuff. I mean, I'm not totally against it. So I used to teach public school to a lot of children that I didn't know. So this is a whole lot easier than that. Yeah. So anyway, appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, thank you so much.
Just trying to talk, how do I?
I don't know how to do that.
We can hear you, Barb.
Okay,
Ready?
Bill, were there any other questions, I guess?
Okay, there we go.
Okay, Bill, thank you for doing this, and it was a really great presentation. And I believe you also sent out emails to everyone recently, kind of with the same information, right?
Yeah, just a basic like monthly check-in type of thing that just says, hey, if you have any commercial leads, feel free to reach out and discuss them with me. And a few people have responded, and we're kind of working through a few different things, but definitely know how to reach me. I'm here in the corner in the conference room, in the Stockton office. And yeah, typically the door's open because I got Christmas music out here. So we're jamming.
Okay, well, thank you. And Michele, I think you mentioned something about people that the brokers do not want other people doing commercial to refer to Bill, correct?
That is correct, because
I think you need to. Because there's classes that you have to take in order to be a part of commercial, and you have to pay to be a part of commercial. And it's not fair that we allow that. So we're very cautious of that, if you will, right? And it's two separate caps. However, if the person wants to have a discussion and go through the education through KW Commercial and have two separate caps, that's a conversation. However, I would rather them focus on one thing. I mean, there's a book called The One Thing, and that's what I would want. But it's a compliance risk. Let's just put it this way. I'm not going to allow anybody to do a gas station. I'll tell you that right now. And yeah, that's a huge, huge liability risk. So it's got to be somebody who knows what they're doing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other announcements or anything anyone wants to share?
Yes. So how about Toys for Tots? Those containers out there need to be filled up. I want to see those containers like overflowing. I did see something on Facebook that the dollar store has a lot of games like, Monopoly, Sorry, like for $1.50. I mean, good quality. Who's that made by? Those games, the ones that, yes. Hasbro, whatever. It's one of those. Okay. So let's make sure we get that done. I mean, it's very nice of Patty and her team to coordinate it with the ALC to make sure we get it in all 5 offices. So thank you for that. Let's really, really shine and be a part of it. Also, I can't wait to see everybody on Friday night at 6 o'clock. ALC is providing the raffle prizes. So cannot wait to see everybody and have do a cheers and a toast and have a dance or two. Have some good food. Anybody else have anything they want to share before we sign off? Nope. You guys, thank you so much for taking time to join us. And thank you so much, Bill, for sharing your expertise. All right, you guys have a great day.